If you are on a decluttering journey or you're thinking about starting one, let me be the first to say congratulations. I love that for you. But let me also be the one to tell you what nobody else will. Decluttering is not just about stuff. It will mess with your emotions, challenge your identity, and expose some mindsets you didn't even know you had. And if you're not ready for that, there are going to be so many times when you feel like you're doing it wrong, even when you're not. So today, I am sharing with you the truth about decluttering, what I wish someone told me, and the mistakes that I made that I don't want you to repeat. Welcome back to my channel, my friends, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Christy, and I make content centered around realizing that no matter where we are in life, no matter our age, we are just on time to live the life of our dreams. For me, one of the key things that I had to do to get to that dream life was getting rid of all of the foolishness that no longer served me. When I first started decluttering, I thought it was about just getting rid of some like extra clothes and expired skincare. But when I started looking at the stuff that I had been holding on to, things that I'd been saving to use for a perfect day, or things from my parents who had passed, I realized that this isn't just about items. These were memories. These were versions of myself that I hadn't let go. They were also reminders of seasons that I had outgrown, but that I hadn't fully released. Nobody told me decluttering would be like therapy. Nobody told me that I would be sitting on the floor, bawling my eyes out, wondering, why am I still holding on to this stuff? I really didn't know that the deeper you go, the heavier it gets. But once I realized that, everything changed. Let's talk about mistakes because I made plenty. The first mistake I made was I tried to do everything at once. I would pull out entire closets and start like 5 drawers at the same time, have 12 trash bags halfway full, and then get really overwhelmed and quit. Going full throttle with decluttering without having a plan is how you get overwhelmed and you don't want to do it anymore. Now what I do is I go in with a quick plan and I just do that 10 minutes at a time, maybe one category at a time, just a quick, simple plan of what am I going to declutter today? I thought that if I cried while I was decluttering, that something was wrong with me. I thought I was being dramatic, but I know now that it was part of the healing. It means that you are feeling it, dealing with it, and finally letting it go. I also used to think that if I had to go back to the same area again, it meant that I was failing. But now what I realize is that every time I return, I'm peeling back another layer. Sometimes I am decluttering a space and I am not ready to let a particular item go because there's something internally that I'm still dealing with. But it stays in the back of my mind, and sometimes weeks later, I'll come back to that space and I'm actually ready. When you start the process, when you force yourself to confront things that you had let sit for however long, every time you go back to that space, to that closet, to that drawer, whatever, you revisit it a little bit stronger. And eventually you get to a space where you are ready to release. I avoided the hard stuff. I decluttered the mail and expired products in my pantry, my shoes. But I left those bins of my parents' things untouched, not even looked at for years. I had become a master of avoiding the hurt that came when I thought about the loss of my parents, and that stuff just felt like it was a direct tie to those feelings. I knew that they were a trigger for me, and that once I opened them, I would feel everything that I had been avoiding. But I found that dealing with the stuff that you want to avoid is usually where you get the most freedom and the most peace. And so with that, there are so many things that I wish someone had pulled me aside and told me before I ever picked up that first trash bag. Decluttering will stir up stuff in your spirit, so be ready. Like I said, nobody told me that I would start decluttering my closet and start crying over a pair of jeans that I had not worn in years. Not because of the jeans, but because of who I used to be in them. This is spiritual and emotional work because you are not just sorting stuff, you are sorting through identities, seasons, old stories, and even grief. I cannot tell you how many things I held onto for a life that I no longer live, and to be honest, never lived to begin with. Clothes for a body that I didn't even want to get back to. Hobby supplies that I never touched. If the zombie apocalypse came and you needed some stickers, girl, I had them for you. I kept trying to prepare for every possible future scenario without trusting God for the season that I was currently in and where He was leading me to. Keeping everything just in case, that's not faith. That is fear pretending to be responsible. I also wish someone had told me that you can have the memory and still let go of the item. This one is something that took me a really long time, and honestly, it's something that I still work through from time to time because I used to feel like if say I let go of a thing that my mom gave me, or let go of something from a time when life was a lot more innocent, then it meant that I was letting go of her or letting go of that time. But God showed me that the love, the impact, the memories, they aren't in the thing, they're in me. And yes, there are still a few things that I keep, some small things that I keep in a space that is organized, because for me, that is part of the life experience. I like to go back to and remember exactly where I was and exactly what I was doing at that particular time. But it is no longer everything. I don't need that for every single item. When I allow myself to let the bulk of this stuff go, I realize that I could carry the memory with a whole lot more lightness and joy. You don't need a Pinterest perfect house. You need peace. Listen, I love an aesthetic. Love it. However, you can have the bins and the labels and the clear containers. But if something inside of you is still anxious and your schedule is overflowing and you're exhausted, something's not working. Peace doesn't live in just how things look on the outside and having things together on the outside. It lives in being in alignment. It is not a weekend project. It is not a one and done deal. It is a process. It is a mindset, and it becomes a way of living. When you first start it and when you're in the thick of it, it is layered and it is sometimes messy and emotional. But that process will free you from more than just stuff if you allow it to. So if you are in this process and you are looking around your space thinking, where do I even begin? Or maybe you're avoiding it altogether because it feels like too much. You don't need to fix your whole house, your whole mindset, or your whole life in one weekend. You just need to start shifting something. Here are a few things that I want you to do. Really quickly before we move on, if you are enjoying these practical tips and you feel like God has something more for your life and you just want the encouragement to go after it, I would love for you to sign up for my email list. Every week I send out tips and resources and encouragement to help you live your dream life. The link to sign up is in the description, absolutely free. So come on and be part of the Doing Things Insider. First, start small. One drawer, one shelf, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. That's it. Do not try to Marie Kondo your whole life on a Saturday. That's how burnout happens and how you end up surrounding by bins, feeling overwhelmed and questioning all of your life choices. Instead, give yourself permission to go slow and intentionally, because progress doesn't require pressure. It just requires you to be consistent. You don't have to do it all. You just have to start. Next up, ask better questions. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts that helped me to declutter deeper. Instead of just asking, do I want this? Ask, who gave me this version of myself? Am I holding on out of guilt, fear, or love? If I saw this today, would I choose it again? A lot of the clutter we keep is tied to one of a few things. It might be identity or scarcity, old stories that we have told ourselves, or old versions of ourselves that we've outgrown but haven't released. When you start asking better questions, the truth starts to rise up and you find that it is easier to let things go because you're thinking from a place of, now I understand why I've been keeping this. Break it into layers. Not all clutter is created equal. I did a video where I broke down clutter into 4 different layers, where layer 1 are the things that are easiest to declutter and layer 4 are the things where it gets harder. Some days you are dealing with stuff that's like, what even is this? Random junk, old cords, expired products, mail. We know my feeling on mail. All of that stuff is surface level, layer 1 stuff, and it's super easy to let go because we have no emotional attachment to it whatsoever. But then there are days where you open a box and it is full of memories or grief or identity. The deeper the layer, the more grace you need. You might feel really strong one day and then really fragile the next, or you feel really like ready to go with a few items because they are layer 1 things, and then you get to something that you find are layer 3 or layer 4 and you hesitate and don't want to let any of that stuff go. That is a normal part of the process. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It means that you are identifying where your triggers are and you're doing it honestly. Move at your pace, but don't stall. You don't have to rush. You don't have to compare your progress to somebody else's highlight reel, but you do need to move. Even baby steps count, because just getting one bag out of your house is one less thing that is weighing down your spirit. When you feel yourself overthinking or slowing down, I want you to come back to the truth that faith is not about having the whole map. It's about trusting God to just take the next step. So you don't need to do it perfectly. You just need to keep showing up. And then over time, step by step, layer by layer, you'll look around and you'll realize that, oh, I'm not just decluttering my space. I am actually making room for the woman, for the person that I'm becoming. Decluttering truly changed my life. And it wasn't because I had fewer things, but it was because I was willing to go through the process to make room for more of what matters. So if you are on this journey or you're thinking about it, do not let perfection or fear stop you, and definitely don't repeat my mistakes. I want you to drop a comment and let me know what is one thing that you have been avoiding decluttering and why. And let's just talk about it. No shame, just growth. If you want some step-by-step help, I actually created a 30-day decluttering program, which I will link in the description. In 30 days, we work on decluttering your home, your mind, your habits, literally all of it. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who might also need some decluttering help as well. Also, if you're not subscribed, like, what are you doing? I'm gonna need you to jump on that. Alrighty, I love you and I will see you in my next. Bye for now.